So if you're living in 2020, chances are you've heard the names Ta-Nehisi Coates, Nikole Hannah-Jones, and Ibram X. Kendi. These are three individuals in the school of many others who are in a concerted effort to shape the narrative of society with regard to race. Here are just a few of their comments.
Either there's something wrong or inferior about black people, or racial discrimination. Those are the only two explanations.
Slavery was so foundational to America and its institutions that we are still suffering from that legacy now.
To be black is to walk through the world and watch people doing things that you cannot do, that you can't join in and do.
What these people are doing is that they are hurting race relations in America. They're not helping race relations in America. And they're doing it under the guise of intellectualism. They're doing it under the guise of enlightenment. And the issue is that their rhetoric, their ideas, are sweeping the country through the institutions, whether it be the news media. Their ideas are shaping the narrative of the news media. Their ideas are infiltrating and taking over higher education. And their ideas are now getting into primary education, babies and children. This is what's happening right now.
Today I am reading Anti-Racist Baby by Ibram X. Kendi, one of my favorite authors. There's a baby, and the sign says, "Equity now." And this one says, "We demand justice. Black lives matter." And this man in the wheelchair is saying, "Climate justice is racial justice." Babies are taught to be racist or anti-racist. There's no neutrality.
Here's the deal. If you live in the United States of America, you are privileged. America only makes up 4.7% of the entire world population. So you are privileged if you live in this country. People who are foreign, who don't live in this country, many of them will kill for the opportunity for their children to come to this country and take advantage of the opportunities that we have here. America is the place to be. And you have opportunities here that are simply not available in other countries. Now is the time to seize those opportunities. Don't think about race. Don't think about, the fact that you are in the majority in terms of your pigmentation or your sex or whatever the case may be. You have opportunities here. There is nothing stopping you from, we have equality here. We have equality in this country. There's nothing that's stopping you from seizing the opportunities that you have here and making the most of those opportunities, but yourself. And when you allow yourself to be influenced by people like Ta-Nehisi Coates, when you allow yourself to be influenced by people like Nikole Hannah-Jones and Ibram X. Kendi and the lady who wrote White Fragility, when you allow yourself to be influenced by those people, you are holding yourself back and choosing not to take advantage of the opportunities that are available to you. Nobody said this better than William F. Buckley in a debate that he had with James Baldwin in the 60s.
But we must also reach through to the Negro people and tell them that their best chances are in a mobile society. And the most mobile society in the world today, my friends, is the United States of America. The most mobile society of the United States, in the world is the United States of America, and it is precisely that mobility which will give opportunities to the Negroes which they must be encouraged to take. But they must not, in the course of their ordeal, be encouraged to adopt the kind of cynicism, the kind of despair, the kind of iconoclasm that is urged upon them by Mr. Baldwin in his recent works.
The point that William F. Buckley makes about James Baldwin in the 60s, that his ideas are keeping black people back, can also be made of the so-called race experts of our day.
There's only two explanations as to why over the last 50 years, the black unemployment rate has been twice as high as the white unemployment rate. There's only two explanations as to why 40% of the incarcerated population in this country is black, even though black people make up about 13% of the population. There's only two explanations as to why white people in this country have roughly 15 times more wealth than black people. There's only two explanations for many of these racial inequities that persist in every sector of our society. Either there's something wrong or inferior about black people, racist idea, or racial discrimination. Those are the only two explanations for any racial inequities.
When you remove the individual element from the equation and you focus only on groups, which, by the way, is a Marxist concept, this is how you end up with the thought process that Ibram X. Kendi is trying to convey. What then do you do with data? What do you do with all this information? Ibram X. Kendi would have you believe that it has to do with systemic racism, that it has to do with discrimination. When you take out individual responsibility and you also take out cultural influences within the black community, you are shaping the argument, which is what Ibram X. Kendi is doing. He wants you to believe that everything that is an issue in America has to do with systemic racism. I encourage you not to believe what I believe, but to think for yourself and to look at their arguments for what they are, fraudulent. Because I can promise you that the America that they want is not one that you want to live in.